Thanks for tuning in. You're watching ARIRANG News Break on this Thursday, June 7th. Live from Seoul, I'm Han Daeun. Our top story this morning, the United States has, for the first time, put North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on its sanctions list for human rights abuses. South Korea has highly welcomed Washington's stronger-than-expected move. Kwon So-ah starts us off.
It's another strong and independent move by the U.S. to pile pressure on North Korea. This time, Washington is sanctioning the regime's leader, Kim Jong-un himself, over human rights abuses, saying his crimes are among the worst in the world.
The government continues to commit extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, arbitrary arrest and detention, forced labor, and torture.
A lot of the abuses are committed in political prison camps, which hold an estimated 80,000 to 120,000 detainees. The U.S. Treasury Department says the sanctions, the first to target any North Koreans for rights abuses, affect property and other assets within U.S. jurisdiction and extend to 10 other individuals and 5 North Korean state entities. South Korea's foreign ministry has highly evaluated the announcement. The ministry said the move reaffirms Washington's will to continuously enforce its own sanctions on North Korea. It added that South Korea, too, will actively join the international community's various efforts to improve human rights issues in North Korea. It remains to be seen whether the unprecedented U.S. sanctions will have a dramatic effect on North Korea, as they are largely seen as a symbolic measure. Kwon So-ah, ARIRANG News.
North Korea's human rights abuses have also come under scrutiny in Europe. A recent report revealed the regime has sent hundreds of workers to EU countries to work like slaves so the regime's party leadership can make use of their hard-earned money. Park Jong-hong has more on that.
They are referred to as state-sponsored slaves, North Korean citizens doing hard labor overseas to earn money for the communist regime. Hundreds of workers are reportedly working in Europe, and 90% of their money is being sent back to North Korea. The London-based European Alliance for Human Rights in North Korea, which published a report with the Leiden Asia Center in the Netherlands, said the foreign currency is used by Pyongyang to try and offset the cash crunch caused by the UN's economic sanctions. Most of the North Koreans are working in shipyards, construction sites, and farms in Poland. They are also employed in leisure and clothing firms in Malta and have worked in other EU countries. The laborers do not have formal contracts, are forced to surrender their passports, and are also kept under surveillance. They're mostly married men with family back in North Korea, a practice which is essentially seen as, quote, hostage-taking. The human rights group says that if they were to defect, their family would face punishment at a political prison camp and, in extreme cases, execution. The report estimates that in 2015 alone, almost $20 million was transferred from Poland to the North Korean regime. A UN report published last year estimated over 50,000 North Koreans were working abroad, earning Pyongyang up to more than $2 billion annually. Park Jong-hong, ARIRANG News.
In domestic politics, officials from the government, presidential office, and parliament will meet today for the first time since the 20th National Assembly opened in May. They'll discuss pending bills on economic revitalization as well as the government's fiscal stimulus plan announced last week that includes a supplementary budget of $8.5 billion. The government's corporate restructuring and countermeasures to the financial impact of Brexit will also be on the agenda. We'll bring you full coverage of the much anticipated meeting in our evening newscast. It was an earnings surprise for Samsung Electronics again. The tech giant posted better than expected earnings in the second quarter of this year thanks to the strong sales of its flagship smartphone models released in March. Kim Min-ji reports.
It was an earnings surprise for Samsung Electronics. According to the company's earnings guidance, operating profits stood at 8.1 trillion won, or almost $7 billion during the April to June period, up more than 17% from a year ago. Sales rose 3% on year to over $43 billion. It's the first time in more than 2 years that Samsung's quarterly operating profit has topped the 8 trillion won mark. The figure also beats a market consensus of about $6.4 billion. Operating profit in its mobile division is expected at around $3.5 billion, which analysts attribute to better than expected sales of Samsung's flagship Galaxy smartphone models released in March. Sales globally are estimated at 26 million units so far, with 16 million coming in the second quarter alone. Samsung's semiconductor arm, another cash cow for the company, is expected to post roughly $2 billion in profit despite falling prices. The guidance figure does not break down performance by sector, and the company's finalized earnings will be announced later this month. Kim Min-ji, ARIRANG News.
A new report shows Chinese tourists spend an average of $1,800 on shopping during their trip to Seoul, with 9 out of 10 splashing out on cosmetics. According to a Seoul Institute poll of 1,400 foreign tourists, Chinese visitors spent 6 times more than Japanese tourists and 3 times more than American and European tourists. More than 6 out of 10 Chinese visitors said shopping was the main reason why they visited Seoul, and they spent the most on cosmetics, followed by clothes and food. The most popular shopping spots for Chinese tourists are duty-free shops, department stores, and traditional markets. Japanese and Southeast Asian tourists spend the most on food, while American and European visitors use most of their tourist budget on clothes. And that wraps it up. Keep it tuned to ARIRANG for more domestic and global news updates throughout the day. Thank you for watching.